Good evening. I am calling the Monday, April 26th, 2021 Planning Commission meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Tonight's Planning Commission meeting will be held virtually by using Zoom and in person while following social distancing guidelines. As chair, I will be leading the Planning Commission meeting, and the public is welcome to participate when invited throughout the meeting. Members of the public may attend the meeting in person or join via online Zoom. If attendees experience audio problems, we suggest you leave the meeting and then rejoin. This has usually fixed the issue. Additional instructions on how to participate are posted online at www.burnsvillemn.gov in the public meeting calendar. As usual, tonight's meeting is available for viewing on BCTV and on the city's website. If you are unable to participate this evening and would like to submit public testimony, I encourage you to email your comments to city staff or mail your comments directly to City Hall. You may participate in the meeting tonight online by going to https://zoom.us/join and typing in meeting ID 967-3425-7349. Once you are logged into the meeting, please use the chat feature to tell the moderator which item you wish to speak to. You may also call into the meeting at 651-372-8299 with the meeting ID 967-3425-7349. For each public hearing, I will open a time when callers may speak to that item, and I will give more instructions at that time. Your call will be muted until then. Please note there may be a slight delay due to the differences in technology. If speaking by phone, please mute your computer since there may be a delay. All right, on to the agenda. Our first item this evening is adoption of the agenda. Planning Commissioners, do you have any changes to this evening's agenda? And staff, any changes to tonight's agenda?
No changes.
All right. So we need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll move.
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson. Commissioner Awad?
I'll second the motion.
All right, moved by Commissioner Henderson, seconded by Commissioner Awad. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Timmerman,
Aye.
Commissioner John,
Aye.
Commissioner Awad,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
All right, and the motion carries. Thank you. The second item this evening is approval of the meeting minutes from our last meeting, which was held on April 26, 2021. Planning Commissioner, staff, any changes to the meeting minutes?
No changes from staff.
No changes. All right, if we could have a motion to approve, please.
Again?
All right, we'll go in the same order. Commissioner Henderson? Moved by Commissioner Henderson?
I'll second Commissioner Henderson's motion.
Second by Commissioner Awad. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Timmerman,
Aye.
Commissioner John,
Aye.
Commissioner Awad,
Yes, aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
All right, and the motion carries. Thank you. All right, on to the item number 3, which is a public hearing. It's an application of University Auto Properties LLLP for a conditional use permit amendment for a 770 square foot office addition to the east side of the auto sales dealership building located at 3301 Highway 13 West. And City Planner Ms. Garros, Deb Garros, will be providing a presentation.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
And for everyone in the audience, we do have the applicant that's here this evening. Wilson is here if you have questions or comments that you would like to hear from him. This is a public hearing. It is an existing dealership, and the subject site has been approved with a conditional use permit for many, many years. Started with a different owner years ago, but what they would like to do is they want to expand the building, basically doubling the size of the sales office or the dealership office. And in order to do that, because it's a very small building to begin with, around 800 square feet, they're doubling that, and they need the CUP amendment because it's over 30% of the original building size. If it were 30% or less, we could have approved it administratively, but it's a little bit more than that. So in terms of the project itself, the underlying property is zoned B4, Highway Commercial, and this is just a straight-up conditional use permit amendment application. And if we can get the property is bounded by, there is an industrial site to the south. The property does have two buildings on one lot, and also already approval for the open sales rental, and that's what the first conditional use permit was. So the addition will be adding on to the building to the north, which is the little white building, adding on to the right side or the east side, an office addition. And with that, it virtually doubles the size of the building. Green space on the property is existing. There are no other changes that are being proposed to the parking lot or whatnot. There's basically a small area, excuse me, landscape area that's going to be where the footprint of the new addition goes to. So they have overall 33% green space, which exceeds the requirement of the ordinance. They do have a little bit less green space within the parking area, but that's a legal non-conforming situation because the ordinance was changed, and today it would require 8% green space in the parking area. But at the time this was approved, they had 5%, and they'll continue to have 5%. Building perimeter landscaping with the addition, they will have 79% building perimeter landscaping, which far exceeds the 50%, and they are, in terms of parking, no issues there. The parking required for the use would be 27 stalls, and they have 77 on site. This is just a photograph, taking a look at the property from the, this is looking to the southwest, and you can see the brown building in the back. That's kind of the storage building, and then the dealership building is the white building a little bit further on the east. And this shows the proposed addition. Again, that area basically currently green space kind of area, so they will do their addition there. And the site plan is proposed, very simple. We've got basically the building was upgraded in about 2014, and they added the front entrance tower, if you will, that you can see that's taller. And then also the building has a white stucco material, and they're proposing to continue that along the entire addition. Just gone over some of these charts. This shows what the addition will look like, just again, a continuation there to the east. And what they'll do is, you can see on the top photo, there are 4 windows. So basically that is just gonna be extended over, and they're just gonna, relocate and have those windows. So that's pretty much what it will look like, except a little bit larger. And then this is the south of the rear side of the building. And they did propose a landscape plan, which will continue landscaping similar to what they have around the existing buildings that does conform to the ordinance. And the one item that we're suggesting is that in 1978, with the original conditional use permit, there was a landscape plan that was approved, and we're, from a staff perspective, suggesting that in any locations where there are plantings missing, that those just be replaced, and that's proposed as a condition for the project. No additional utilities need to be provided. All site utilities are there, and the city engineer does not have any particular issues. There aren't any formal lit agreements or any of those types of things for stormwater management, so very straightforward. And with that, the recommendation from staff is to approve the project as we have proposed, subject to the conditions, number 1, that all of the existing conditions will still continue to apply to the site from the original CUP. Exterior mechanical equipment will need to be screened, and because of this building, because of the age of it, for rooftop equipment that can be painted just to be a color to match the building. Number 3, or I'm sorry, miss number 2 would be the landscape materials that are missing from the 1978 plan, be added back in. The one item from the engineering department is that there is existing storm sewer out there, so they want to just have inlet protection, which is basically providing for erosion control just under construction, during construction. And then also, this site is in the Lower Minnesota River Watershed District, so they may need to obtain permits from that organization as well. And with that, I can stand for questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Garros. All right, commissioners, any questions for Ms. Garros? No. All right, I'm not seeing any. And this is a public hearing, so I will just ask if there are any members of the public, either here in council chambers or on the Zoom meeting, who wish to speak. This is the time you will be allowed to do so, and I will open the public hearing at 6:41 p.m. If there's members of the public on the Zoom meeting who wish to speak, the moderator can unmute you. You will press *9 to raise your hand and *6 then to unmute yourself. That is if you are on the phone. Is there anybody who does wish to speak to this item? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 6:41 p.m. and kick it back to the commissioners for questions and conversation. A little coffee talk. Commissioner John.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty straightforward plan. I'm actually excited to see what they're going to be doing. It's exciting for the building owner itself that get to double the size of his building. It looks like it's going to be a really nice project. I'm fully backing this.
Thank you, Commissioner John. All right. It's a good presentation when there's no questions. All right. Any other thoughts? Commissioner John.
I'll just go ahead and make the motion then. It doesn't
Thank
sound
you.
like anybody else wants to say anything. So I recommend that we recommend to the city council to approve the CUP amendment to allow for 770 square foot addition to the dealership building at 3301 Highway 13 West, subject to the listed conditions. There are 5 of them, and that is my motion.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Awad.
Nice project. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner John, seconded by Commissioner Awad. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Timmerman,
Aye.
Commissioner John,
Aye.
Commissioner Awad,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
Thank you, and the motion carries. This will go to the city council next, which is next Tuesday, the 18th of May. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so that will bring us to agenda item number 4, which is also a public hearing. It's an application of T Auto Sales LLC for a planned unit development amendment to allow a 6-stall open sales rental use for automobiles within the existing parking lot at 12571 County Road 5. And we will again hear from Ms. Garros. Ms. Garros.
Thank you, commissioners, and for the public. We do have the applicant is here this evening, Ernesto Perez Escalona is here if you have questions of him. This application also is very straightforward, very simple. We've got an existing property that is zoned B3 planned unit development, and the reason for the planned unit development is that there are a couple of different uses on the site. There is, on the north side of the building, there are 6 parking stalls that are parallel parking stalls, and those are used for similar open sales rental lot operation that's been in place for many, many years. And then later, there was a planned unit development that was approved, and that's when the little coffee shop building on the northwest corner there was put in many years ago. And there was a more recent amendment just a few years ago which allowed additional uses for that little coffee shop building. So this application is also a PUD amendment just because the property is already zoned PUD. And what they are requesting is to use one of two locations on the parking lot. And on this one, looking up to the top of the screen, that's actually facing west. So they would like to use either the 6 stalls directly abutting the building or the next row of parking over for up to 6 stalls. So they would like to do their open sales rental. This would be the second business. We have received no comments or issues from either the county or the public related to this application. And what they are requesting, they do have on the property, there are 70 existing parking stalls, which is in excess of what's needed for the existing uses and then also for this application. There are 61 required stalls by the ordinance, so even with this use, they would still have an additional 9 parking stalls. And with that, the recommendation from staff, we are recommending approval of the application, subject to 5 conditions. And primarily, conditions 2 through 5 are right out of the ordinance for all sales rental type uses. And then number 1, that previously approved conditional use permits and PUDs, that those conditions still remain in full force and effect. And with that, I can take questions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Garros. Any questions? Commissioner John?
Yeah, I'm curious. You said rental sales. Is this, are they rental cars? Are they cars
Yes,
that
for
were-
automobiles. Yep,
I'm sorry?
for automobiles, yes.
Right, I
So there'd
mean,
be 6.
maybe just rentals, or are they selling the cars
I believe sales.
for sales?
Yep.
Okay.
It's just the category, if you will, in the zoning ordinance is sales
Ah.
/ rental lot.
Okay, that's what was confusing me.
Sorry
Okay.
about that.
No, and I'm assuming they're used cars then, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so this is a public hearing, and I will open the public hearing at 6:47 PM. Same rules apply as with our last item. That is, if you are on the Zoom call or meeting, you can indicate if you'd like to speak now. And if you'd like to address the commission, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to. Okay. All right, it doesn't look like we have anyone who would like to speak tonight, so it is 6:47, and I will close the public hearing. And with that, we can have further discussion, questions, or a motion. Commissioner Awad.
Again, it seems pretty straightforward. Thanks for a great presentation, Ms. Garros. I'd be happy to make the motion. So I move that we recommend to the City Council approval of the PUD amendment to allow a second 6-stall open sales rental use for automobiles within the existing parking lot at 12571 County Road 5, subject to the 5 conditions listed.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Awad.
Second that.
Commissioner Henderson, okay, moved by Commissioner Wad, seconded by Commissioner Henderson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote. Commissioner John?
I'm curious, on the address, it seems to me when I put it in the Google Maps, it was at a different location than what was here.
It was for me too.
It is, there is a typo in that. It should be 12751, not 12571. Sorry
I didn't know
about
if that, for the record, that we should amend
Yes,
that here.
thank you.
Before we move forward.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I
Yeah.
ended up on the northwest corner
Right.
of 5 and 13, so.
Like,
Sorry about
what's
that.
going on here?
Nope, that's all right. Good catch. All right, so if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Timmerman,
Aye.
Commissioner John,
Aye.
Commissioner Wad,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
And the motion carries. Again, this will go to the city council at their next meeting, which is next Tuesday, May 18th. So thank you very much. All right, on to agenda item number 5. This is Also a public hearing, the application of Burnsville Marketplace II LLC for a planned unit development amendment. Thanks. For a planned unit amendment to modify site and building plans to construct a 64-unit apartment building located at the northeast corner of Morgan Avenue South and Williams Drive. And I believe we have seen this in the past, so I'm wondering if tonight is going to be a world record. Ms. Madden, make it happen.
No pressure.
All right, you ruined my first line. So the subject site might be familiar to you. So this application came before the Planning Commission back in November and was approved by City Council in December for a 62-unit apartment building. So the applicant came back with some changes that did necessitate an amendment to the existing plan unit development. So that's what's under review this evening. Previously, there was a request for a rezoning, a comprehensive plan amendment, and a plat. That is not part of tonight's application. This is specifically because of some of the site changes that the applicant had to make due to financial needs for construction costs and how that affected the existing deviations that were requested. So a couple of months after the approval, they reached out to us to let them know that they were possibly going to change some of the stormwater plans. Making those changes affected the deviations related to the setbacks, the building height. It changed their parking plan, their overall stormwater management plan. It did increase the number of units, which also increased the net density request, which was a deviation. I do want to note that this is the application that brought about the discussion with the Metropolitan Council to increase our overall net density charts in the comprehensive plan. So that amendment is still at the Metropolitan Council for review, and the applicant is aware of that. So the request is still for a 3-story multifamily apartment building. The increase in units is from 62 to 64. The lot is the same size, but the proposed net density does increase from 28 to 29.4 units per acre. With the addition of units, there's a couple of extra parking spaces, and then there's some key changes to the overall site plan. In the previous approval, there was an underground parking garage and underground stormwater management system. On the new plan, the stormwater management system is to the south of the building, and the parking is now on the ground level. It is still an enclosed parking structure, but it is no longer dug underground. So that has increased the height of the building. And then the applicant had decided, kind of on their own and kind of in discussion with the neighboring property owner, that they would like that northwest area with the large overstory trees to remain. And they would like to utilize that as a potential amenity space. On their site plans, they are referring to it in some places as open space and in some places as park. I do want to note that it is not a city park. It is not a park from our purposes, but it is going to be an amenity space for the residents of the building. And in doing so, some of the surface level parking does share with the neighboring property. The two buildings, both the retail structure to the east and the site, the vacant site that would be under construction, are owned by the same organization. They have an existing parking and access agreement, but there is a condition that they update that and record it and provide it to the city as well. Now that there will be an actual division of the property line showing parking that is shared between the two and not just an access agreement. So I will move on. So this is showing some of the new landscaping with the site. In the previous approval, they received a deviation for the overall green space to the 50% standard. With the new application, because they are retaining that northwest corner, they no longer need that deviation. They do continue to exceed the building perimeter landscaping requirements. They do not exceed it to the same extent, but they are still at 62% as opposed to 50%. The reason that they are not meeting the, or not as high as they were before, is because the stormwater pond is not landscaping area. It's a dry bed pond that can be talked about later if needed, as our engineering consultant is available. So there is no landscaping in that area. It's not building perimeter landscaping. Additionally, as with the previous approval, they are showing internal parking lot landscaping. That's not a requirement in the multifamily residential zone, but they are still proposing those landscaped end caps as well as parking lot screening and heat island reduction for installation of new overstory trees in addition to the existing large overstory trees that are being retained on that northwest corner of the site. So the exterior elevations of the building are similar to the previous approval. The key area that's noted to have changed is that ground level where I have mentioned that now they are showing ground level parking structure rather than an underground parking. So the applicant has enhanced these materials of what would be a normal parking structure, so including manufactured stone and some trim boards so they can be consistent with the residential use that is on top. On the other three levels, the pitched roof style is still existing in the plans. The aluminum decks with the metal railings are still existing within the plan. So it is a very similar shape, size, and makeup of the exterior materials. And they are meeting those standards in that portion of it. So the makeup of the units has changed slightly for them to accommodate some of the space in the building. So on the previous set of plans, the third level did include an enhanced community room space, and that has been removed with this application, and they are including 2 new units instead. So the total makeup for the building as a whole would be 6 studio, 9 alcove, 35 one-bedrooms, and 14 two-bedroom units. The trash handling does continue to be handled inside, as well as each floor containing some conference-style rooms and mechanical and storage capacity. While the third floor deck and community room is no longer proposed, there is an at-grade patio on the lower level, and then the main floor has office and community room space, as well as a fitness and mail room. So some of those amenities are retained, and they are going to attempt to incorporate some exterior amenities. There is a condition included as on their narrative letter and in some of their plans, they are describing what would be an exterior dog run. So there is a condition that has been added that the plans be revised to properly indicate where on the site that's going to be located and any fencing and landscaping that might be associated with that type of amenity in the PUD. So as mentioned, the key change that prompted this was the removal of an underground stormwater system to an above-ground stormwater system that highly affects the layout of the site. So by doing that, our engineering consultant, Sarah Lloyd, is available for questions on that specifically, but engineering-related improvements do include that the stormwater facilities, it is a wet sedimentation pond for water quality and rate control. So if there's questions about that, we can defer those. So PUD benefits and deviations. Benefits with this proposal are very similar to the last application that was seen in November, which is that they are still exceeding some of those requirements related to plant installation and building perimeter landscaping. And that they're going to maintain that cross-access agreement, which is a key feature that those neighboring property owners want to maintain, as well as continued benefit of this vacant lot being developed within the city for residential uses, which are in high demand right now. So for the deviations, and I can go back to some of these plans to talk over them as well, but the net density does exceed 20 units per acre at 29.4 units per acre. The comprehensive plan amendment that is currently under review at the Metropolitan Council does increase that to 30 units per acre, so this deviation would not be, although this is the application that prompted the discussion about increasing our density, if this was in a vacuum 4 years from now, this deviation may not have been needed. The setback of the building to the west and to the south was included as a deviation with the last proposal, and it is included as a deviation with this as well. The required setback increases on R3B lots the higher the building is constructed. Because a ground level parking was included, the height of the building went up and the setback increased as well. So these are very similar deviations to what was requested last time, and staff continues to be supportive of the setback deviation. And this is one of the items that we may note as we go through the city code updates as well, this setback to height relationship, just as a side note. So the a building height that is greater than 35 feet, and that is actually a typo there. I apologize. There was also, this is the 65 feet is the height that is proposed. That should be correct in this section of the report discussing the height of the building, but that in the deviation section, that is not correct, to be noted. And then the two parking-related deviations that are a part of this proposal that were not part of the previous application is that off-premises parking is on adjacent parking lot to the east, and that a zero lot line parking setback to the adjacent lot to the east as well. So typically there would be a 5-foot parking setback that they would need to end before reaching that property line, and this shared property line, there will be a zero lot line setback, and parking spaces will be cut in half across the parking lot. And staff is supportive of those deviations. So staff is recommending approval of the application, subject to a few conditions, some of which are carryovers from the previous application. So the first is, of course, that the conditions of all previously approved plan unit developments remain in full force and effect. There are a number of plan unit developments on this site. The second is, as I mentioned, that the site and landscaping plans shall be revised at the time of building permit application to indicate the location of the exterior dog run and any fencing or landscaping that is associated with that amenity. A cross-access agreement for ingress and egress and parking shall be provided as a document recorded on the site and the involved properties prior to release of the final plat. The last three conditions are engineering related, that all outstanding memo comments be addressed, and that a stormwater management agreement be executed and recorded prior to building permit, and that development fees be paid to the city prior to releasing the plat for recording at Dakota County. So I am available for questions. I believe the applicant is on Zoom as well. And then this is a public hearing this evening.
All right, thank you, Ms. Madden. Any comments or questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Awad.
Where's the stormwater pond or area on the map? If you can you?
I don't believe that the laser works. But so the L-shaped building directly to the south of it along Williams Drive will be the location of the stormwater infrastructure.
So did you just say the L-shaped building will be the location of the stormwater?
Directly to the south.
Oh, directly to the south of the
structure,
L-shaped building?
in between the building and Williams Drive to
Oh,
the
okay.
south.
So it's kind of the long, skinny,
That's correct.
okay, got it. Thank you.
Commissioner John.
I apologize, I know we have a record on hand, Mr. Chair.
That's all right.
I was just curious on, the Met Council denied our first request. I was just curious on why they denied it.
So in the initial request, a plan unit development deviation was granted for enhanced density, and the Metropolitan Council noted that we did not, the City of Burnsville's 2040 comprehensive plan did not have the same type of flexible language built in to allow an increase in density by staff without extra approval. So what they had suggested and what we brought forward to the commission a few weeks ago were some changes that increase the overall density in our charts, as well as put language into the comprehensive plan that would allow staff to increase the density by 20% in the case of if the application that we were bringing forward met city goals within the comprehensive plan, whether that's housing goals, whether they it's flexible, and it would depend on areas of the comprehensive plan that we would use, similar to how we use the plan unit development benefit type of situation, that we could use that with a comprehensive plan amendment as well. So they pointed out in that discussion and rejected that application based on the density specifically, not based on the application as a whole.
So we're pretty confident that when it goes back, like it's pending that review, it will come through just fine, because we're using whatever they recommended in the first place.
That's correct. We created the new goals based on conversations with staff at the Metropolitan Council.
Okay, great, thank you.
And so what is the timeline for the Metropolitan Council to approve that? And is the applicant aware of that timeline and the repercussions if for some reason the Metropolitan Council does not approve it?
That's a great question. So, we are the Metropolitan Council operates similar to how when the city accepts development applications, and I know that we've gone over that a few times, as a fun training opportunity with the commission, which is that when city staff receives an application, we have 15 business days in order to determine an application complete. The Metropolitan Council is subject to those same guidelines and timelines. And they have those 15 business days, and then they have, as well, they have the 60 days in order to review and determine if they can approve the application. So for the applicant, they're aware that the density is what's under review by the Metropolitan Council right now. We have not had that discussion of what may happen if it were to be denied by the Metropolitan Council again. The Metropolitan Council did let us know that the density was the key area that was their reasoning for denying our first application this spring.
Okay, and it sounds like we and the applicant have done what's needed to be done based on what the Met Council gave us.
Yeah, at this phase, we have completed the steps that we were told to complete.
Great. All right, so this is a public hearing, so I am going to open the public hearing at 7:06 PM. And I will take a look to see if anybody is on Zoom. We do not have anybody in the council chambers. I know the applicant is with us. If they would like to speak, that would be fine. Otherwise, it looks like nobody on Zoom is stepping up, so I will wait the 2 seconds so I can say I'm closing the public hearing at 7:07 PM. And I will open it up for any additional questions or comments from the commission. Or motions. Commissioner Wad.
I just have a comment. It's interesting, and I appreciate the applicant kind of massaging their design so the project can still move ahead. And I think it'll still be a nice project, and hopefully it can get going. So that was my only comment.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and I kind of want to visit during construction and see that view over Minneapolis from the northwest corner, or the northeast corner. I think it'll be pretty nice. Commissioner John.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Awad. I think it's going to be a really nice enhancement to that area for sure. That open lot will be, it's amazing what they can fill in that one small lot. It looks really small, how much building is going to be in there. It sounds like a really good project. Even have a little park to boot, that's great. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to recommend the city council approve the application of the planned unit development amendment to modify site and building plans to construct a 64-unit apartment building located at the northeast corner of Morgan Avenue South and Williams Drive, subject to the 6 conditions that Ms. Madden pointed out in her spiel, for lack of a better term.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner John.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Henderson. Moved by Commissioner John, seconded by Commissioner Henderson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Timmerman,
Aye.
Commissioner John,
Aye.
Commissioner Awad,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
And the motion carries. Again, this will go to City Council next Tuesday, the 18th of May. All right, that brings us to item number 6, which are updates. Any updates from the commission? Any updates from staff?
Just a couple of things to note. For the next planning commission meeting that you have coming up on May 24th, our city engineer is going to be going through complete streets. We are looking at I guess as part of the comprehensive plan, let me go back, we did include in that, part of what we would want to be looking at are complete streets and, implementing some of those types of things, which can include everything from, traffic calming to how you deal with, improving pedestrian areas and access and, all sorts of things. So she has put together, some information, and we'll be spending the evening with the planning commissioners, to go over those types of things and to really, kind of get your input. So for this, unlike a lot of the, developments and things that we do where we're kind of stuck looking at just the ordinance, does it meet it, does it not? This is really an opportunity to do planning, for the community. So I think you will like it, and, we definitely need input from you all, and are looking forward to that. I think it will be a fun evening. And I believe that's the only item we have on that agenda, so.
I believe so at this time.
Awesome. Ms. Lloyd, you're gonna be ready for that?
It'll actually be the city engineer, Jen Densford,
Oh,
for that one, yep.
Yes.
all right. Is
That's
that
it.
all?
Yep.
Okay,
That'll be-
real good. All right, so that brings us to adjournment. If we could, actually, I have to read one last thing. Members of the public can submit additional public comment related to items on this evening's planning commission meeting agenda until 4:30 PM on Friday, May 14th, 2021. These comments will be included with the city council background for consideration. So now, at this time, I would like a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Wad,
I move that we adjourn.
thank you. Commissioner Roberts, did I see your hand go up?
No, not tonight.
Commissioner John,
I second Commissioner Wad's motion.
moved by Commissioner Wad, second by Commissioner John. If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Timmerman,
Aye.
Commissioner John,
Aye.
Commissioner Wad,
Aye.
Commissioner Henderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Roberts.
Aye.
And we are adjourned at 7:12. Thank you all.